Okay, I'll stop this training just for a minute. My name's Jay Devon and I want to share plenty of things to help everyone to be happier on the court. Alright, today's video is a big tip for everyone, including a lot of the professional tennis players here, is we're looking at your body for tennis, and as you're getting a bit older, you're not in the junior tennis, a kid, or you're not junior tennis, or you're not in the first part of the professional tennis players where you're out on the tour and you're building up and you're getting towards 25 or so or below. This is more for everybody who's playing and they're getting towards the 30 or above. And tennis is an amazing sport where, not sure there's any other sport in the world where you can do this, but in tennis, I know that they have tournaments for 90 years old and above. Okay, so, and of course, and below that 70s and 70 above. So what we're looking at is from the body, is that there's a few different things that are going on. The best way I try to explain to people is that imagine that your body, everything you've got, and you're running around, you're playing a lot of tennis, as you should. Love it, enjoy it, do as much as you can. If you're playing tournaments, whether you're playing your state rankings or junior rankings or world ranking, whatever it is, the veterans tours, all this type of things, club tournaments, club championships, all the things you're doing is that basically when you're playing is you imagine that your body, you have the brake pads and the shock absorbers. So when you're a car, you can just go change those. But when you're a person, you can't just go get new body parts. So you have to consider a lot when you're doing all this type of training, is that unfortunately how it's working is that everybody's looking at the sport for so many years now as a power sport. It's not a power sport because it's not a matter of hitting one ball the fastest possible ball, or throwing your racket the longest possible distance, or knocking somebody out and the match is over. So it's not a power sport, but everybody's doing a lot of training and trying to do the heaviest weight you can do to see that you're getting stronger, you know, what they call the 1RM, the 1 repetition maximal, so your heaviest weight, and doing heavy weight and very low reps. So when you're doing this type of training, you're really putting your body under a lot of stress, and you're wearing down those brake pads, you're killing those shock absorbers ever so slowly, but the more you really push it to the end range, the quicker it goes down. And like as the years and the time on the court goes past, because when you're playing matches, you'll know that the game itself is already a lot of wear and tear on your body. So then when you're trying to get yourself better for it and the years are going past, then you've got to make sure you're looking at, hey, what's the situation here? When I'm trying to do this, I'm supposed to be trying to feel better and have a better performance, but I have this limited brake pads and shock absorbers. So when you're doing this thing, you have to think a lot about what is the risk to reward ratio of your exercises that you choose. So there's a lot of, doing the heavy weights. There's a lot of things where people are jumping from heights and landing and trying to do bounding and bouncing off. These are very popular, but how many can you do of these? How quickly are you wearing down your shock absorbers and brake pads is a very crucial thing. Now, of course, looking at on the professional tennis, which is the same for everybody else around the world, is when you're doing this type of bulking training and power training to get bigger muscles, because that bigger means faster and stronger. No, because tennis is actually not a power sport, it's a power to weight ratio sport. So actually, the thing you should be trying to do is you're trying to be as light as you possibly can. And then, of course, once you achieve that, is increase your amount of strength that you have whilst remaining really light, because that means you're doing much more efficiency. So the good way I explain to everybody to get the idea is imagine, as you see a lot of players, what happens to them as they're training and they're doing this power training is from the younger to older, their legs and their body starts getting thicker and thicker and their kilos are getting higher. So it's the same as, hey, imagine you have a backpack and then you keep putting more half-kilo bricks in the back on there, and then every time you run for a ball, every time you're doing this jumping off the boxes and landing on the floor and doing this training that you're supposed to, this is going to make you faster. But what about, the brake pads and the shock absorbers? What damage is it doing to that? There's already enough jumping up and down and landing and twisting and turning and taking off on the courts, and a lot of the time the tournaments are on hard courts, so the surface is hard, the wear and tear is high. So it's going to be a lot more clever in choosing the things that you want to do, because like I said, you can't just go get new body parts. So unfortunately, we see lots of the players when they're trying to come back and they're having things like that, is they re-injure and they're out for a really long time, because to get back and to try to regain their speed and strength, then they get pushed to do this, heavy as possible weights and jumping and bounding and, a lot of bouncing activities, and jump down and do this because these are supposed to do. But you've got to really take in consideration age and getting older, and of course, your body weight. If you're not already really light, then when you're hitting the floor, then that's more, for example, if you've got somebody who's 10% over what's their ideal body weight, that means their shock absorbers and brake pads for the normal range is supposed to be, they're not supposed to tolerate this extra 10%. Your body wasn't designed for that because you've got all this excess. So that's going to be even more. Yeah? So especially when you're not really light, this jumping and bouncing stuff, to try to do all this bouncing and plyometrics and all this type of things can be done well, but it has to be very clever. But you've got to try not to do the bouncing and jumping because that's an enormous amount of stress. So same thing is as they're playing, the trick is if they're always saying that, as the players get older, then their recovery takes them longer and they get slower. So then here is the big one, is that means that what everybody should be doing is, instead of trying to bulk up and get more size and bigger as they go along, is once you get to, for example, to make just to draw a line there to make it really simple, is to 25, and once you're over 25, then the idea should be, hey, I need to now focus a lot on being as light as I can be, because if I want to extend my career and do well whilst I'm extending my career, I need to be as light as possible. So then when I'm running around for each ball, because I'm lighter, my recovery will be better because I'm going to be carrying less bricks in the back here. So the more you can get rid of the bricks, the lighter you can be, then the easier everything is. If you don't believe me, I've done it with a lot of people, is go get a weight belt or anything like that, or even something to attach it to your back, and add 3 kilos or 4 or 5 kilos on, and then have somebody throw the ball to the sides of the court and you try to go get it just a couple of times, and you're going to realize, wow, those kilos make a massive amount of difference. What I'm always showing people is they've got a really good footage of Nadal when he's really young and coming out when he's 19, and how crazy fast he was before he bulked up, and how he's much leaner and lighter. And this combination where he ran for these points like crazy, like you wouldn't even believe people can do it. He could reach all these 3 or 4 balls in a row, and then the other guy got so frustrated that he smashed the ball really hard, and Nadal won, and Nadal was all over the place. So for, of course, compared to other people, he's really fast, but compared to himself when he was younger, he's really, really slow now. So I know probably going to get comments on that, but if you go and have a look at how fast he was when he was really young compared to now, before he did all the bulking and all the kilos, then of course, and then all the wear and tear of doing all this heavy weights and things to his legs with all the knees and everything, is he was massively faster. So the trick is you've got to try to see how much can you keep yourself down light and add strength, but don't add the crazy bulk. You've got to try to be as light as you can, then everything's much easier. You go test it out for yourself, put some extra kilos on, run around. So imagine how much difference that makes to when you play. So then of course, if whatever you are now, if there's room to go down, then you can add 5 kilos and see how hard it is to run for the ball. Then you imagine, what about if I lost 5 kilos? How much easier would it be to go for the ball? So these are important considerations when you're training. Stop thinking about being a power sport and bigger is better. Is we've got to try to get down as light as possible. So it's power to weight ratio, light as possible. Be very careful the things you do. We're not trying to add bulk and weight. We're trying to be really light and get around the court. One of the best things I can think of is I remember when Djokovic's dream was to win Wimbledon, and he got to a final and he lost earlier in his career. So what happened was he took a bit of time out, he changed what he ate, he changed his training, and he'd become very disciplined with that. And then when he got to the US Open that year, everybody's going like, whoa, look at Djokovic, he's so skinny now. What has he been doing? How does he expect that he's going to have the power to be able to battle with Nadal and all these people when he's lost so weight? He's too skinny now. He's not going to have enough strength. But the complete opposite happened is that he became that his earlier problem of getting tired in matches and everything, he got away from it because he dropped all the he wasn't big to start with, but he's dropped the bricks and he got the things down, and the bloating he had in his stomach from the foods he ate, he got everything down. So he's super light. Everybody thought he's really crazy, he's way too light, he's way too skinny, he's never going to be able to compete anymore. But from this period on is when Djokovic started to have the best and the greatest results. If you compare all the players from that time on, is he has the best results out of all the players, even including Nadal and Federer. So that is a top example. All the former champions commentating, and people were all commenting how Djokovic, he lost his mind, he's way too skinny. Because it's not a power sport, it's a power to weight ratio sport. So follow Mr. Djokovic's lead there. Super light tennis head. Tennis, no bodybuilding sport. Tennis is power to weight ratio. Let's get Ferrari-like and enjoy the sport for longer, achieve more for longer and enjoy the sport. Keep on the court. Light, light, light. And fast.